Hello. Hi. We're at day 10, guys. You know, it's the little things. Day 10. Day 10. Yes, it is going to be one of those moments where I just talk about how cruddy I was feeling emotionally today. Because honestly, I've been having this funk, for lack of a better term, that's been following me for days, right? If not longer. But like it's really been hanging on me for a few days recently. And I haven't had a moment to shake it. Like I've been trying to shake it and I couldn't quite place what it was in the first place. I couldn't quite place where it was stemming from, and I couldn't quite place how to part myself from it. Right? So it was this deep emotional instability, and like the slightest of things were throwing me off, or like not throwing me off, but it was just stemming back into like, oh, see, you're just not like, it was stemming back into the doubting or the discounting of my capabilities and who I am, right? And this was happening over and over and over and over again, and it would be something small, but it would fracture me so well, so like quick. And I think I talked about this the other day, a few streams back, where I said, you know, I'm doing pretty well where I can stand up to the judgments of others. Like, that doesn't really bother me as much as the judgments of myself. I'm going to have to learn, and I will learn how to fight against the judgments of my own being. And when I tell you, I must have prayed it in prayer, because when I tell you, opportunities keep popping up for me to fight against my inner voice that just wants my destruction. It's not even my voice. It's just a mimic. It's pretending to be me, because it's not me. It can't be me. But yeah, you know, that voice inside that's like just trying to just drag you down over and over. I'm going to war with that voice. And yeah, but today was one of those days. This morning was one of those mornings where I had what I wanted to do planned out, schemed out, and I wanted to just have it go with the smoothness. But plans and expecting it to be smooth do not happen. You know, that's not how that works. And so, yeah, it just spiraled into this situation where I kept feeling inadequate, and I didn't know how to conquer that feeling of inadequacy. And so I finally came home. I was out with my sister, we were out at the gym. I ended up losing, or feeling like I lost, my debit card and my license that was on me. And that spiraled me a little bit, and I was just trying to hold myself together the whole car ride back. And then coming back, I was like, you know what, maybe it is home. Maybe I'm just making one of those big deals out of nothing. I retraced all my steps. But even in it, I was like, God, like, I guess if I lost it, whatever ultimately is a couple pieces of plastic, I don't want it to derail me the way I feel it seeding into me right now. So there was that like recurring, but like that moment was mixing in with the week, and it was mixing in with all of the other emotional inadequacies that I was feeling, and it was trying to take me out, bruh. It was just trying. It was really trying to mush my mind. It was just so then I get home and I immediately find these two pieces of plastic right there on my kitchen. I was like, oh right, when I picked up my cell phone, I put you down because whatever. So I found it, I breathed a sigh of relief, I laid in bed, and I was just praying. And then my roommate texts me and she's like, hey, you want some cookies? And I'm not a big sweet tooth person, and I knew they were going to be like the double chocolate chip cookies. I'm going on a tangent. But anyway, the point is that these cookies, I wasn't expecting much. But I was like, you know what, sure, let me go eat some cookies. When I tell you I was sitting there eating these fresh baked double chocolate chip cookies, crispy on the outside, fluffy, mushy, and gooey, and chocolatey on the inside, and I just felt myself smiling. Like all of the sadness that I have been trying to shake for weeks, all of that, just like I felt it happening. I was chewing and trying to stew, and it wasn't happening. Like I couldn't stew in my problems anymore. I couldn't stew in the feeling of not feeling adequate. I couldn't stew in it because I was chewing. I was chewing these cookies. And I looked at her and I was like, I've never had the experience of having like your grandma make fresh baked cookies, you know, and coming home after a bad day and getting to eat that cookie and like really experience that happiness. I've never had that experience, but if I did, I imagine this is what it would feel like, because this is the way you just brushed me clean of all the junk that was trying to like really consume me. And a couple things struck me in that moment. Sometimes it's just a simple bring all your senses back to the current present, right? So we get caught up in these things thinking about the future. We get caught up in planning. We get caught up in what do I do next? We get caught up in all of these like brain thinking functions of like, how do I handle my life? And that those cookies just brought me to now. Like they wouldn't let me think about anything other than now. The 2 minutes I was shooting, like the 2 minutes I was eating the cookies, I couldn't think about anything other than that moment and letting myself exist there. And that was freeing. And then the second one was like, wow, you really just shook me out of this emotional turmoil that I was in. Not by me having to explain what I was feeling or sensing. Not by me having to like come to you and be like, hey friend, like this is what's going on. But simply by existing in my space and giving me like, and sharing like goodness with me. You know? Like those could have easily just been your cookies. They were. But that's how simply I talked to her, and I definitely did tell her afterwards, like, you know, oh my god, those were really, like, I've explained everything that I'm saying to you guys to her. But I want to highlight, like, it's those small moments where you don't realize how big of an impact your existence is making on another person. Because that moment will never be as impactful. I don't know if it'll ever be as impactful to her as it will be to me, as it has seeded into me. So yeah, that's before this stream, and yeah, do with that what you will, I guess. As I was going and getting prepared and getting into the mindset of what today was going to be for this reading, I was streaming on, I was scrolling through Instagram, and I found this prayer, and I was like, if that's not the prayer I need for 2023, I don't know what is. So I attached the link to that prayer in this video. It's from an Instagram reel, but I'm going to start this off by playing that. So
I pray that you would grant me the strength to discern and dismantle every... Father, today I pray that you would grant me the strength to discern and dismantle every disruptive plan against my success this year. Today I am asking for the wisdom needed to not just identify traps and setups after I am consumed in them, but Father, help me to discern your direction before I get there. Father, I come against every assault, attack, ambush, and annihilative effort of the enemy this year. I declare your word over every trick and trap that no weapon formed against me shall be able to prosper. God, get a hold of every enemy this year, even if that enemy is me. I bind every hindrance against my progress, if it be a spirit of procrastination, deal with it in me this year. If it be a spirit of fear and doubt, deal with it in me this year. Father, I pray today that the same tricks of self-sabotage that I encountered last year would be canceled and cast down in my life this year. Father, give me the wisdom of when to say yes. Give me the strength when I need to say no. Give me direction when I need to make decisions. Give me vision when I feel stuck. God, I pray that this year your plan and your hand would guide and lead me in everything that I do. And I praise you in advance for the faith that I have that you are making this a year of great victory. In Jesus' name, amen. If you agree with this prayer, send it to someone that...
Amen. Like, I needed that prayer so, bruh. So yeah, that's, I hope you were able to hear it okay. If not, again, it's linked. At the very least, tap on the link and give it a like, because if it hits you as much as it hit me. But yeah, the self-doubt, I gotta shake that this year. The sabotage, gotta shake that this year. I'm not holding on to these things. We're not bringing, I know it's an issue. We're not bringing this past. Nope. No, we're not bringing it past into the next year. It's not, no. No. The procrastination, I know it's an issue. Like, I just know these things are an issue, and I called you out, will fully target you this year. These functions within me will be erased in the name of Christ. Amen. Yeah, so let's get into reading. Reading today is day 10. The devotional video is called What is the Bible? Again, that is linked in the description of this video. It says, what is the Bible? This short video is episode 1 of an ongoing series that explores the origins, content, and the purpose of the Bible. Here, you'll be introduced to a condensed history of how the Bible came into existence and the different forms of the Bible in the Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant Christian traditions. So yeah, it's a cool little overview video. I've actually watched the whole series. Before I even started this, I've interacted with a lot of the BibleProject's videos beforehand. So it's looked nice to see all of these incorporated elsewhere. I did rewatch it because I need a refresher, so why not? But yeah, I would love if they actually go into the maybe not the individual translations, but like maybe that's something I'll do, is go into the why there's so many translations, right? Like there are so many biblical translations and what that all is categorized under, like how those various translations came into existence, felt what kind of gap they were filling in the market, you know? Yeah. So, watch the one video, watch the whole series, do what you feel is right in the heart, okay? Moving on, we're gonna start at Genesis 32. I feel like I need to do a quick recap. So, we're going to go from the point where Jacob kind of steals his blessing from Esau, his older brother, his older twin brother. He steals this blessing that Isaac, his father, is planning to grant to Esau, the older son, and give him and leave him his inheritance, as Isaac is fading away in his older years. He's blinded, hard of seeing at this point, and he's laying in bed, and he tells Esau to go hunting, bring back a game for him, and feed him his favorite meal, and then he will bless him. This is overheard by Rebecca, the mother of the twins. Rebecca then proceeds to tell Jacob this. she's like, listen, instead, here they hatch out this plan. Listen, instead, how about you go get a goat from the field? I'll prepare it the way I know Isaac likes, and then you bring it to him and you can get the blessing or whatever. And then they go so far as to make sure Jacob is wearing Isaac's clothes, make sure Jacob is fitting the hairier description of his brother Esau, by wearing the pelts of the goat that they just killed to feed to their father, you know? So this isn't tanned leather. No, you're wearing fresh goat pelts, skin. Oh, I'm not gonna go that far. Wearing that on your arms, your neck, like the back of your neck, and trying to make sure any part of you that is exposed can feel hairy, so your father doesn't call you out on your deception. It works, you know. After some initial hesitation, Isaac begins to believe that the person in front of him is Esau and gives them a blessing. The blessing is that their land will be fertile, everything that they do will be great, and they will be the leader of all of their brothers and all of the men that their mother births. And then immediately after Jacob goes to leave Isaac's room, Esau comes through with the wild game he actually hunted and the meal that he actually prepared, and tries to feed his father Isaac. And Isaac's like, what? Who did I just bless? And Esau's like, oh my god, of course. Jacob's name means the supplanter, which means the one who gains the position or the seat of someone else through planning and scheming and all of that. So Esau's like, God, Father, do you not have any blessings for me? There's nothing left. They have this bit of a pleading moment, and the blessing is like, yeah, your lands won't be as fertile. You will live by the sword, and you will follow your brother. But when the time comes for you to part ways with your brother or get out from the shackle of your brother, he says specifically, you'll be able to. That was basically what his blessing boiled down to. And Isaac, before blessing Esau, says that the first blessing has to stand. So Esau is enraged by this. He feels cheated by his brother twice, which he was very much so. So then he starts to console himself by plotting to kill his younger brother. Rebecca comes back into play. She notices this. She tells Jacob, hey, your brother's trying to kill you. Like, go away until he simmers down some. Return to the land of my father. That's basically the land of both, where where Rachel lives, and is Rachel Rebecca? There is a Rachel. It is Rachel and Rebecca. It's Rebecca, sorry. The land Rebecca lives in originally, where she's found when she marries Isaac, and the land of Isaac's grandfather. Father and grandfather, yes. So he goes on the run, sort of. Yeah, he goes on the run. He ends up, during his travels, has a vision or a dream about God blessing him and reconfirming the covenant that exists between Abraham, Isaac, and now Jacob, because he received all of the blessings. So God reconfirms this in that when Jacob wakes up, he takes the stone that he was sleeping on and he anoints it, and he makes a vow at that. He says, if all of this covenant exists, surely God is my God. So then he goes and he's like, I will glorify or pray here at the stone, you know? Then he proceeds onto the land of Padanamar, where he meets up with his uncle. And then he ends up living there over the course of time for about 20 years. Now, here's what happens in that 20-year time span. He not only gets cheated by the uncle a couple times over his first wife. He wanted the first wife to be Rachel, his second, Laban, his uncle's second daughter. Instead, he's like, yeah, you'll work for me for 7 years to basically pay off what it would require to earn the daughters as a wife. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So he does the 7 years. They have a whole wedding feast. And then at night, after all of this happens, instead of giving them Rachel, they give Jacob Leah, because they're like, oh, we don't have traditions where we let the second daughter can get married before the first daughter, so you had to marry. So we gave you her instead. Like, you've been planning that. That means you've been planning that for a whole 7 years. Like, Jacob is obviously enraged by this. And they're like, well, we'll give you Rachel too if you work another 7 years. So Jacob works another 7 years, but it only takes him like maybe a week after the first marriage to receive Rachel as his next wife. So now he has sister wives, literally, and he's working in this land. He's got 14 years in total just to earn off the wives. And during the whole that 14-year period, there's of course, situation with getting pregnant and having children. And now this getting pregnant, having children situation gets pulled into, hey, I got some servants, sleep with my servants, I'll give them to you as wives. And when they have a kid, they'll be my kid too. So Jacob ends up with about 4 wives because he gets a servant from both Leah and Rachel, and all of them end up having kids. All of the wives have kids at some point. In total, he has about like 11 wives. But at their oldest, they can't be older than like maybe like 13 years old. And then when he's trying to return home, Laban doesn't want to let him go. Because Jacob he's anointed. He's got a blessing on him. So everything he touches is making Laban rich through him. And who's going to want to let that go? Clearly not Laban. So he keeps trying to trick him and deceive him and not let him go toying with his wages. Either way, he's got an anointing on him. So Jacob ends up earning his wealth. He ends up earning sheep. He ends up earning a flock. He has this huge family, and he starts to notice that both the sons of Laban and Laban's attitude towards him has changed. They're not happy that he's bringing blessings to them anymore. Now they're jealous. So he leaves with the wives in the middle of the night, right? He leaves with the wives on his stuff. On the way out, Rachel's like, I'm going to steal the idols of my father. Don't know why. But she gets this. They pack up, they go, they leave in the middle of the night. They're on their way. Laban finds out about this. He chases after them. He finds out about this 3 days after they leave. And then it takes him about 7 days to catch up. He catches up. On the way to catching up, God interrupts him with a little bit of a dream. And he's like, hey, leave Jacob alone. Like, I'm just going to need you to stop doing all this foolishness that you're doing. And he's like, all right. So he wakes up and then follows to find Jacob anyway. And then he's like, well, clearly the God is on your side, so I can't do anything about this. But you took my grandkids and daughters in the middle of the night, you took them away from me, didn't even give me a chance to kiss them goodbye or whatever. But he's searching, throughout this whole thing, he's like searching through all of Jacob's and his caravan stuff because he's looking for the idols that were stolen. Why this is important is because Jacob goes and say, hey, he doesn't know any of this is going on. So he just says, hey, look through my stuff. If you find anything here before all of our relatives that is yours, I will give it back. And let the person who took them die. But the person who took them was the wife that you fell in love with. The one you actually love. Like, Leah is the wife that's there because she has to be. Because she was, whatever. She's given to you, forced on you, whatever. So you don't really love her. But then Rachel's the one who committed this issue. Who took all of these things. She didn't get caught in that moment, but I'm waiting for that promise that let the person who stole it from you die to come into play. Because obviously you're going to find out she took this at some point. That pretty much sums up where we are now. Yeah. I'm not missing any. I don't really feel like I'm missing any. If something comes up while we're reading, I'll let you know. But that's the summary. Genesis 32:1. As Jacob started on his way again, angels of God came to meet him. When Jacob saw them, he exclaimed, "This is God's camp." So he named the place Mahanaim. Mahanaim. Yeah, that one feels right. Mahanaim. Jacob sends gift to Esau. So this is the brother. Then Jacob sent messengers ahead to his brother Esau, who was living in the region of Seir, in the land of Edom. He told them, "Give this message to my master Esau. Humble greetings from your servant Jacob. Until now, I have been living with Uncle Laban, and now I own cattle, donkeys, flocks of sheep, and goats, and many servants, both men and women. I have sent these messengers to inform my lord of my coming, hoping that you will be friendly to me." After delivering the message, the messengers returned to Jacob and reported, "We met your brother Esau, and he is already on his way to meet you, with an army of 400 men. Jacob was terrified at the news. He divided his household, along with the flocks and herds and camels, into two groups. He thought, if Esau meets one group and attacks it, perhaps the other group can escape. Then Jacob prayed, "O God of my grandfather Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, you told me, return to your own land and to your relatives. And you promised me, I will treat you kindly. I am not worthy of all the unfailing love and faithfulness you have shown to me, your servant. When I left home and crossed the Jordan River, I owned nothing except a walking stick. Now, my household fills two large camps. O Lord, please rescue me from the hand of my brother Esau. I am afraid that he is coming to attack me, along with my wives and children. But you promised me, I will surely treat you kindly, and I will multiply your descendants until they become as numerous as the sands along the seashore, too many to count." Jacob stayed where he was for the night. Then he selected these gifts from his possessions to present to his brother Esau: 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 male donkeys. He divided these animals into herds and assigned each to different servants. Then he took then he told his servants, "Go ahead of me with the animals, but keep some distance between the herds." He gave these instructions to the men leading the first group. "When my brother Esau meets you, he will ask, 'Whose servants are you? Where are you going? Who owns these animals?' You must reply, 'They belong to your servant Jacob, but they are a gift for his master Esau. Look, he is coming right behind us.'" Jacob gave the same instructions to the second and third herdsmen and to all who followed behind the herds. "You must say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. And be sure to say, 'Look, your servant Jacob is right behind us.'" Okay. There's been 20 years between the deception of like stealing this blessing. Esau's rage had time to stew. So I don't know what he's about to do, but like, and like to know that for someone to be stealing your blessing. Jacob's gave. Right behind us. Jacob thought, "I will try to appease him by sending gifts ahead of me. When I see him in person, perhaps he will be friendly to me." So the gifts were sent on ahead, while Jacob himself spent the night in the camp. Jacob wrestles with God. During the night, Jacob got up and told his two wives, his two servant wives, and his 11 sons and During the night, Jacob got up and took his two wives, his two servant wives, and his 11 sons and crossed the Jabbok River with them. After taking them to the other side, he sent over all his possessions. This left Jacob all alone in the camp, and a man came and wrestled with him until the dawn began to break. I'm not really sure how this left Jacob all alone, because I thought he crossed the river with all of his wives and his children. After taking them to the other side, he sent over all of his possessions. Okay, well, if he sent over all of his possessions, somebody had to take them over. So I guess he sent them over with the family. Okay, and a man came and wrestled with him until the dawn began to break. When the man saw that he would not win the match, he touched Jacob's hip and wrenched it out of its socket. Then the man said, "Let me go, for the dawn is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." "What is your name?" the man asked. He replied, "Jacob." "Your name is no longer Jacob," the man told him. "From now on you will be called Israel, because you have fought with God and with men and have won." Jacob sounds like the Hebrew words for heel and deceiver. Israel means God fights. What? So you're telling me this man breaks his hip and he's like, "I'm not letting you go until you bless me." Does he know who this man is? Is this just some strange man? This left Jacob all alone in the camp, and the man came and wrestled with him until the break of dawn. What am I not getting? Who is this man? And how did he just come into this picture and just start wrestling? And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And Jacob went alone, and men wrestled with him. Fine. Okay, we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you, bud. Okay, alright. So this man shows up when Jacob's all alone in his camp and starts wrestling to the middle of the night. No, to the break of the morning, to almost, okay. So they start wrestling for hours, essentially. And the man's like, let me go, for the dawn is breaking. And Jacob's like, nah, I'm not doing that unless you bless me. So Jacob had to have some kind of idea that this man was capable of blessing him, unless you just thought you would get blessings from any which body. Okay, so then his name is changed. Because you have fought with God and with men and have won. Please tell me your name, Jacob said. Why do you want to know my name? The man replied. Then he blessed Jacob there. Jacob named the place Peniel, which means face of God. Peniel. For he said, I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared. The sun was rising as Jacob left Peniel, and he was limping because of the injury to his hip. Even today, the people of Israel don't eat the tendon near the hip socket because of what happened that night when the man strained the tendon of Jacob's hip. First of all, what is even today, the people of Israel don't eat the tendons. Okay, I have so many questions. First, a couple weeks back, I went to church and they were talking about how Israel, they were talking about Israel, and then they were talking about the sons of Israel. And I always used to take that as a metaphor that the sons of Israel were the people who lived like Israelites, or like Israelites were just the people of Israel. But then I was like, in a moment where I was like, wait, but this is before Israel existed as a country, So I always thought that the sons of Israel were like Israel, like modern day Israelites. And I was like, but does that mean that the sons of Israel are just a person's kids? And so I started to go down that train of thought line, and then I found out that Israel is actually a character in the Bible. So then I was like, oh, Israel's a person. So the sons of... Then I was like, oh, wait, when does Israel come in and who it is? And then I realized that Jacob was going to have his name changed eventually to Israel. So then I started thinking about whether Israel was the 12 tribes of Israel were the 12 descendants of Jacob, or 12 descendants of Jacob. Yeah, whether these aren't really city tribes, or just this pretty much your descendant line. So right now Jacob has 11 kids. I'm assuming that another one comes into existence, and that makes up the 12 tribes of Israel. I don't know. We're gonna put a pin on that train of thoughts, or just let it keep chewing off the tracks until we find out new information. Second question: what is the tendon near the hip? Tendon near the hip. And hip injuries do not heal. That's just that's just it flexes your hip and is attached to your upper thigh by a tendon. It also gets overused from too much activities. This tendon can get inflamed and cause hip tendinitis. Tendon near the hip for food. I specifically want to know that. is not kosher, baby. Meat found in the area around the sciatic nerve is not kosher, and observant Jews will not eat it. Generally, the entire hindquarters is sold off to non-kosher meat purveyors. Okay. Can somebody specify to me what the tendon near the hip is called? Because y'all's just answering this question by calling it the tendon near the hip. I'm sure it has a name. I can go down that rabbit hole when you guys aren't watching. So, moving on. I can't imagine what it's like to wrestle with God physically. We all do like the metaphoric wrestling with God. But like to physically wrestle with God and then to win. Like, I'm not letting go of you. Maybe that's what we need. Like, even in our metaphoric battles, to be like, I'm not letting go of you. I may be throwing some punches right now. I may be angry. Or I may be questioning. And I may be pondering. And I may be confused. But I'm not letting go until you bless me. How would God respond to that in prayer? That's just, I might try it. I might be crazy enough to try it. I'll let you know how it goes. Because if I do, it's gonna happen in this year. And you'll be around for this. I'm gonna wrestle with God. Genesis 33. Jacob and Esau make peace. Then Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and his 2 servant wives. He put the servant wives and their children at the front. Leah and her children... I thought he was alone. Whatever, he was alone and then he meets up with them again. I don't know. Then Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and his 2 servant wives. He put the servant wives and their children at the front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then Jacob went on ahead. As he approached his brother, he bowed to the ground 7 times before him. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him. And they both wept. Then Esau looked at the women and children and asked, "Who are these people with you?" "These are the children God has graciously given to me, your servant," Jacob replied. Then the servant wives came forward with their children and bowed before him. Next came Leah with her children, and they bowed before him. Finally, Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed before him. "And what were all the flocks and herds I met as I came?" Esau asked. Jacob replied, "They are a gift, my lord, to ensure your friendship." "My brother, I have plenty," Esau answered. "Keep what you have for yourself." But Jacob insisted, "No, if I have found favor with you, please accept this gift from me. And what a relief to see your friendly smile. It is like seeing the face of God. Please take this gift I have brought you, for God has been very gracious to me. I have more than enough." And because Jacob insisted, Esau finally accepted the gift. "Well," Esau said, "let's be going. I will lead the way." But Jacob replied, "You can see, my lord, that some of the children are very young, and the flocks and herds have their young too. If they are driven too hard, even for one day, all the animals could die. Please, my lord, go ahead of your servant. We will follow slowly, at a pace that is comfortable for the livestock and the children. I will meet you at Seir." "All right," Esau said, "but at least let me assign some of my men to guide and protect you." Jacob responded, "That's not necessary. It's enough that you've received me warmly, my lord." So Esau turned around and started back to Seir that day. Jacob, on the other hand, traveled on to Succoth. He built himself a house and made shelters for his livestock. This is why the place was named Succoth, which means shelters. I knew he wasn't gonna go with Esau. Jacob is shady. Like, I know he received a lot of shady treatment from his uncle, and as he was telling his uncle the story about why he was there in the first place, the uncle was like, "Yeah, I could tell we're family." Like, he knew there was that they connected on the deception. Y'all some shade. They're shady. All right, at least tell Esau to his face. But I understand, okay? Later, having traveled all the way from Padan Aram, Jacob arrived safely at the town of Shechem. In the land of Canaan, where he set up camp outside the town. Jacob brought the plot of land where he camped from the family of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver. And there he built an altar and named it El Elohe Israel. Verse 20.
Jacob bought the plot of land where he camped from the family of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver. And there he built an altar and named it El Elohe Israel.
El Elohe Israel.
Chapter 34.
No, I don't need you to keep talking. Stop. El Elohe Israel. I wonder what that means. The something Israel. Yeah, like my translation language skills. I know. It's on point. Revenge against Shechem. Revenge against Shechem. One day, Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah, went to visit some of the young women who lived in the area. But when the local prince, Shechem, son of Hamor, the Hivite, saw Dinah, he seized her and raped her. But then he fell in love with her, and he tried to win her affection with tender words. No. Ugh. He said to his father Hamor, "Get me this young girl. I want to marry her." Soon Jacob heard that Shechem had defiled his daughter Dinah, but since his sons were out in the fields herding his livestock, he said nothing until they returned. Hamor, Shechem's father, came to discuss the matter with Jacob. Meanwhile, Jacob's sons had come in from the field. As soon as they heard what had happened, they were shocked and furious that their sister had been raped. Shechem had done a disgraceful thing against Jacob's family. something that should never be done. Oh, the Hebrew here says a disgraceful thing in Israel. Something that should never be done. Hamor tried to speak with Jacob and his sons. My son Shechem is truly in love with your daughter, he said. Please let him marry her. In fact, let's arrange other marriages too. You give us your daughters for our sons, and we will give you our daughters for your sons. And you may live among us. The land is open to you. Settle here and trade with us, and feel free to buy property in the area. Then Shechem himself spoke to Dinah's father and brothers. Please be kind to me and let me marry her, he begged. I will give you whatever you ask, no matter what dowry or gift you demand. I will gladly pay it. Just give me the girl as my wife. But since Shechem had defiled their sister, Dinah, Jacob's sons responded deceitfully to Shechem and his father, Hamor. They said to them, we couldn't possibly allow this because you're not circumcised. It would be a disgrace for our sister to marry a man like you. But here is a solution. If every man among you will be circumcised like we are, then we will give you our daughters, and will take your daughters for ourselves. We will live among you and become one people. But if you don't agree to be circumcised, we will take her and be on our way. Hamor and his son Shechem agreed to their proposal. Shechem wasted no time in acting on this request, for he wanted Jacob's daughter desperately, obviously. But see, you could have just gone through the official channels to begin with. Shechem was a highly respected member of his family, and he went with his father Hamor to present this proposal to the leaders of the leaders at the town gate. These men are our friends, they said. Let's invite them to live here among us and trade freely. Look, the land is large enough to hold them. We can take their daughters as wives and let them marry ours, but they will consider staying here and becoming one people with us only if all of our men are circumcised, just as they are. But if we do this, all their livestock and possessions will eventually become ours. Come, let's agree to their terms and let them settle here among us. So all the men in the town council agreed with Hamor and Shechem, and every male in the town was circumcised. But 3 days later, when their wounds were still sore, 2 of Jacob's sons, Simon and Levi, who were Dinah's full brothers, took their swords and entered the town without opposition. They then slaughtered every male there, including Hamor and his son Shechem. They killed them with their swords, then took Dinah from Shechem's house and returned to their camp. 2 men did this. Just 2 slaughtered all of the men. Wait. Took their swords and entered the town without opposition. Then they slaughtered every male there. Yeah, slaughtered all the men in town. These 2. Meanwhile, the rest of Jacob's sons arrived. Finding the men slaughtered, they plundered the town because their sister had been defiled there. They seized all the flocks and herds and donkeys, everything they could lay their hands on, both inside the town and outside in the fields. They looted all their wealth and plundered their houses. They also took all their little children and wives and led them away as captives. Afterward, Jacob said to Simon and Levi, "You have ruined me. You've made me stink among all the people of this land, among all the Canaanites and Perizzites. We are so few that they will join forces and crush us. I will be ruined, and my entire household will be wiped out. But why should we let him treat our sister like a prostitute?" They retorted angrily. You know what? I'm with the brothers. I'm with the brothers on this one. Was it right? No. Did it feel good to read about the revenge that they sought after? A little bit. First of all, how capable are these two people? Are these two sons? That they can wipe out the men of the entire town. And then take their sister and go, "You're coming back home with us." Love to see it. And then, mind you, you did this after getting them all circumcised. And then the other sons come through and was like, "Well, since they already dead, we might as well just take what's here, you know?" The gold, the sheep, the animals, the livestock, all of it. The children, the wives. What are y'all gonna do with that? They pretty much just conquered this town. Mind you, it wasn't like a full clans war. They essentially just conquered this town. All because of what happened to Dina. And I'm sorry, but I love to see it. You know, why should we let our sisters... Oh, that's the end. I thought there was another chapter. We're at Psalms 10 right now. Dang, tomorrow we're gonna have to find out how that plays out, right? Okay, so Psalms 10. "Oh Lord, why do you stand so far away? Why do you hide when I am in trouble? The wicked arrogantly hunt down the poor. Let them be caught in the evil they plan for others. For they brag about their evil desires. They praise their greedy and curse the Lord. The wicked are too proud to seek God. They seem to think that God is dead, yet they succeed in everything they do. They do not see your punishment awaiting them. They sneer at all their enemies. They think nothing bad will ever happen to us. We will be free of trouble forever. Their mouths are full of cursing, lies, and threats. Trouble and evil are on the same tips of their tongue. They lurk in ambush in the villages, waiting to murder innocent people. They are always searching for helpless victims. Like lions crouching and hiding, they wait to pounce on the helpless. Like hunters, they capture the helpless and drag them away in nets. Their helpless victims are crushed. They fall beneath the strength of the wicked. The wicked think God isn't watching us. He has closed his eyes and won't even see what we do. Arise, O Lord. Punish the wicked, O God. Do not ignore the helpless. Why do the wicked get away with despising God? They think God will never call us to account. But you see the trouble and grief they cause. You take note of it and punish them. The helpless put their trust in you. You defend the orphans. Break the arms of the wicked, evil people. Go after them until the last one is destroyed. The Lord is king forever and ever. The godless nations will vanish from the land. Lord, you know the hopes of the helpless. Surely you will hear their cries and comfort them. You will bring justice to the orphans and the oppressed, so mere people can no longer terrify them. This one doesn't expressly say that it's written by David, nor does it give any notes of accompaniment. But it's still giving me the same tone of David's cries, you know? So I'm guessing that, I don't see why any of the Psalms that David has written would be unaccounted for. I'm guessing that this is someone who's mimicking David's writing style or has similar, songwriting style. But I really enjoy this. They brag about their evil desires. They praise the greedy and curse the Lord because it seems so relevant. There are a lot of people who brag about their desires and are quick to celebrate with the greedy, while out there cursing the existence of the Lord. And this just all feels so relevant, you know? The poor being oppressed, aside for the hunting down of the innocent, which, never mind. All of this seems so relevant, which is sad to me. It's sad that this was written centuries ago and I can find such true relevance in the lyrics. But that's what music does. It transcends time. I had such a good prayer that I don't really want to close this out with prayer right now. I think the prayer that I prayed at the start of this, the prayer linked in this video, is going to be what I close out on and what I attach myself to for a little while, because there's nothing like reiterating a prayer that like really just hits your soul in the right spot, you know? And there's a lot of fear in that prayer. Do not pray prayers. Do not pray these prayers mindlessly without really thinking about what you're praying about. Because I'm asking for freedom from doubt, which means I'm going to be put in so many situations where I am going to doubt myself. You pray for patience, you gain situations in which you can practice patience, you know? You pray to be released from procrastination, then you're going to face situations where you have the time to procrastinate. You pray to get released from doubt, then hey, all of the mind will attempt to make you doubt so that you have practice. You pray, you listen, and what you receive is not the ability. What you receive is the training to acquire the ability. So when you pray these prayers, be aware of the kind of practice you are opening yourself up to. Okay? That is my warning. That's my warning label for every prayer you pray from this point on. Okay? Be aware that it's not just a, oh, yes, amen. It is a, oh, this is what I will have to go through in order to resonate and receive answer to this prayer. Okay? Okay. Have a good one. Bless. I will see y'all tomorrow, hopefully in the morning, at around 11. Who knows? I'm still working out on my consistent times, but we consistently did this for the past 10 days, and that requires a little clap clap. A little clap clap. We'll see you tomorrow, and tomorrow we will learn more about the repercussions of what the sons of Jacob have just done. Or sons of Israel at this point.